if you're wanting to build an associate practice, there's a really good strategy here of taking time off. And it seems really weird, doesn't it? But let's dig down into this a little bit, because there's the general conception is that, well, if you want to build a profitable associate practice, you've got to put in the hours, you've got to work long and hard and be there as the central figure in the practice. And if they're not the cold face and you're not seeing lots of people yourself, then the practice won't grow. Well, that's one way of looking at it, but it's certainly not a very easy and sustainable way of looking at it. And I would add, it's not very effective either. So, but it sounds logical, but the huge mistake is when you're constantly immersed in the practice, you're cutting yourself off from huge growth opportunities that surround you. So you start to see things through a limited filter, and you miss out on massive opportunities and possibilities. And so, by the way, there's a worksheet here too that we're giving out. It's entitled "How to Grow Your Associate Practice by Taking Lots of Time Off." So if you want a copy, just download it here so you can follow along with the discussion here. So from my experience personally and with our clients, you'll build a robust 7+ figure practice if you take at least 3 months out of practice every year. And this may seem really weird, and it may seem impossible, but bear with us on this one, because if you're stuck in the trap of being the primary cog in your practice's machine, you'll notice these things. The sort of things that are classic with this is that your practice members are going to be one chiro groupies. They won't go to anyone else. They'll wait till the chiro comes back from the holidays, and usually the holidays, if they're taken at all, are very short. So people say, oh no, I'll wait till my chiro gets back. And it will tend to make your associates quite possessive of their practice members and their patients. So there's a very close bond set up there, and there's a reluctance to take time off because of that bond. They don't want to leave them. And then you'll get caught in a rut of continually putting out fires because you're the go-to person. So you'll be dealing with petty procedural things that people really should be able to figure out for themselves and get sorted, even if it's not to your impeccable standards. So that the fourth thing being that the practice has to be constantly pumped to keep it going, because new people and retention are front and center of everyone's thinking, and it's sort of stuck in this rut. And for a practice to be evolving and ascending and expanding, we need to have a different energy running through it. So from our experience of coaching huge numbers of associate-driven practice, and I use this word associate-driven, which is a very big distinction around associate practice and associate-driven practice, and we've done this for years around the world. Both the principals and the associates who take generous time away from the practice on a regular basis have the most robust practices. So, and by the way, it's not that their practice is robust so that they can take time out. I mean, there's an element of that, but is that the practice is robust because they take time out. So let's look at it from this position then. If you don't want your practice members to be one chiro groupies, if you don't want your associates to be possessive of their practice members, their patients, and if you get caught up in being the go-to person for all little bits and pieces around the practice, and the practice has to be constantly pumped to keep it moving, then let's look at it from a different position here relative to building the associate practice. So to shift these 4 things would be to recognize the 4 dynamics of your practice. And the first part of this is, and we're using the brain model once again. This is the innate model. Just orientation. Here's the right brain. There's a left brain over here, and then there's a forebrain and there's a hindbrain. Okay, so there's very different neurological functions, as you would be aware, and so within that, then your practice has the same functional capacity, in that we have right frontal, big picture orientation up through here. So we'll look at this one first, and that is that we need to have our culture shifted and up leveled, if you like. People don't rally around small ideas. People don't rally around little day-to-day stuff. But your practice members do rally around their chiro, having time off, going to far lands, attending conferences around the world, maybe speaking to groups and so forth. So they will support that. They will support the outreach of their representative, if you like, their chiro. So it's less about them then; it becomes more about what the chiro's mission is, and within the practice, then that causes the practice members to want to support the chiro when they go away. And so there's an essence of that. There's also the essence, obviously, of the chiro being aware of the fact that if they go away, they get to design, they get to go into a big questioning mode. And when we get outside of our practice, we can look in from the outside and we see all sorts of things that we've been doing routinely, which we maybe could do in different ways and so forth. So we have chance to get clear on our purpose, to get clear on our beliefs, to look at what our outcomes are. Sitting on a beach and looking at into the horizon and saying, what is my mission? What am I really doing? What is this life about? So those are really powerful ways in which a practice will grow when you're not even there. So that's the first level here, getting your culture sorted. The second level is to take it into the more inductive range, and that is to look at what the strategy is. So what is my strategy for this little venture here of taking time off? Because you know that a fish rots from the head. And so let's start with the cerebral side of this in terms of the organization of time off and the control that we will have to have in order for that to occur. And so, if you look at currently the next year, so say it's towards the end of the year, now we're looking for this next year, where in my calendar am I going to do this? And so some people will look at their calendar and say, well, look, there's some events around the world that I love to be at. There's some public holidays that sort of string together and give an extra week of public holiday time or whatever it may be. And so I can put 3 or 4 weeks associated with that. Now, in terms of time here, what we find is if you have a habit of grabbing a week here and a week there, or a couple of weeks maybe, that's not long enough for the average practice member to accept the change and to go to one of the other associates. So you must schedule decent breaks, and so these should be at least a week longer than your average care cycle. So if your care cycle is, say, fortnightly or 2 weekly, then take 3 weeks. If it's a monthly care cycle, then take 5 weeks. So you can increase this as time goes by, but it's important to make sure that people have the opportunity to move to someone else while the associate or the principal is away. So that obviously is something with planning. It's about looking at how you're going to work this, and then you can then go to your team and at the front desk, and they've got to be okay with booking people with another chiro. And with associates there, it's about allowing the CAs to recognise that the associate also needs time off, and that associate's going to be a better person when they come back because of that time off. And it's important that people get care and continuation of their care. So they will book people with the other associates in the practice if that is the case, or the locum if that be the case, and that if you have other practitioners in the practice, then when you come back, the CAs, if they are tracking on making sure that if a person's really happy with the person who's seeing or relieving for the chiro, and if they're still in the practice, then they stay with that person. If you can encourage that, because then it opens up the space for new people to come in. So the CAs must be okay with transfer, and obviously the chiro must be okay with transfer within the practice. And it breeds a whole new level of connection, relationship, and clinical results too for practice members to be able to see other chiros, and they start to make more distinctions around chiropractic rather than about the being tied to one particular individual as a chiro for their whole lifetime. So and this allows for expansion. It's quite incredible how this works, and people become make more distinctions around their care. So the fourth area then, if you see coming into quadrant 4, which is expansion, that it's really important to make sure that we empower the team members, and the team members then must be empowered to make decisions for themselves while you're away, while the principal's away, while the associate's away, and we honour that plan and we reinvent as we go, because there's going to be things that come up that show weaknesses. There's going to be stuff that comes up that's less than optimum, and that's the purpose of doing this. But going away, seeing how things work, and obviously the objective here is to be able to go away to say 5 to 8, 10 weeks, 12 weeks maybe, and have no calls, no emails from the practice while you're away. So this is through empowerment. This is through trusting the team to make the right decisions for them, and consistent with the policies. And if there's a deviation to that, you can unpack that when you get back and look at what we could do better next time. But to really empower people to step up so that they're not relying on you and your presence and your cracking the whip and fixing all little issues while you're away. So you can then go and have an amazing time recreating your future, looking at the culture, looking at the strategies of how you're going to go next time round, what you're going to do better when you get back into the practice, trusting the team that they'll be doing the best they can to make sure that people expand their vision and their experience of chiropractic while you're away, and through that everyone gets empowered. So get your culture statements really big. Just really look at making that big. Plan those holidays through the year. Plan them ahead of time. Do a year ahead. Work them in with family and business and educational development, and empower your team to use the associates and encourage your practice members to stay with them. So get the team to see that these associates are a resource within the practice, and as you are, but you're not the only one, and they can be then spread amongst the other practitioners, and that then allows people to empower themselves and the team to step to a whole new level when you're away. So next time you're feeling indispensable and not taking time off, remember that if you don't take off from time off the practice, it will not grow, and it will not certainly be as resilient as it could be, and your associates won't step up as they could. So it's like a win-win-win-win here. So if you want to find out more about how we could help you grow your associate practice whilst taking lots of time off, then jump on a call with us. Jump on a clarity call, and we can have a little chat about where you're at and what you're about, and where you want to go with your associate practice. It will be a game changer.